In Parshas Terumah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God tells Moshe to build a Mishkan. And he starts delineating to him exactly how to build each part of the Mishkan, each necessity for the Mishkan. And one of the most sort of, we could say, mysterious elements of the Mishkan were these two keruvim, these two angel-appearing figures that stood on top of the Aron, on top of the cover of the Aron, and they were both made of gold. They had wings on their backs, and their faces appeared like children. And these keruvim, we're told, were facing each other. Now, the Gemara points out that elsewhere we're told that the keruvim were facing away from each other. So the Gemara explains to us, yes, the keruvim actually reflected the relationship that God had with the Jewish people at the time. If Hashem was happy with the Jewish people, and the Jewish people were doing what God asked of them, then the keruvim would be facing each other. Pneihem isha lachiv, they would be facing one face to another. But if the Jewish people were not acting as Hashem wanted, and Hashem was upset with them because they had not been acting properly, then the keruvim were facing away. They weren't facing each other. The Malbim has a very interesting insight as to these keruvim and the idea of them facing each other. He says that there's a connection between the keruvim and the Aseres HaDibros. The Aseres HaDibros are, of course, the very foundation of our religion. And we know, as we've seen, sort of in many shuls, including in ours, on top of the Aron and the base Medrash, we see the two tablets of the Aseres HaDibros, 5 of the commandments on one side and 5 of the commandments on the other side. Explains the Malbim that the reason why the keruvim faced each other is to teach us that when it comes to the Aseres HaDibros also had to face each other. In other words, a person could not decide that they are going to have one specific mitzvah that they are going to focus on and keep, and sort of be oblivious to the other side, to the rest of the mitzvos, to the rest of the commandments. That if we as Jews commit ourselves to living a life of Torah, that means that we have to accept all of the Torah. That means that there has to be an acceptance of the entire foundation of Judaism. This is something which is very pertinent, practically speaking, when we talk about, for example, Giur, conversion. According to the Shulchan Aruch, it is very clear that a person converting to Judaism has to accept all of the Torah, not 612 mitzvos, but 613 mitzvos. And the Malbim explains that this is reflected in the fact that the keruvim are facing each other, just like the Aseres HaDibros have to face each other. A tremendous lesson for us as Jews. We can't say, hey, look, these are things that I don't feel comfortable with, because these are mitzvahs that I don't buy into, but I have my specific mitzvah that I do buy into. So, for example, a person could say, oh, I like the mitzvah of Shabbos, but I don't like the mitzvah of lo signov, I shouldn't steal. That is not Judaism. That is not living a Torah life. That is deciding, like a smorgasbord, what one wants and what doesn't want. And in order to fulfill our lives as Torah Jews, as observant Orthodox Jews, we have to accept all of the mitzvahs that Hashem has given us. We have to be able to look at the Aseres HaDibros, look at each other, look at each one of the Aseres HaDibros and realize that they're all on equal playing field, and that we have to accept all of them. They encompass who we are and what our lives are about. That is a very, very important lesson for us in our lives, especially in our times today, when there are some mitzvahs that we say, I might not feel as comfortable with that particular mitzvah. That's what Hashem wants of us. And Hashem does not give us the option to say, take this mitzvah and don't take the other. We have to take them all and accept them all. May we be zoche, may we merit the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that God looks upon our actions as the angels facing each other, so that He is happy with all that we do, and our observance of His Aseres HaDibros and all of His commandments. And that way we will be zoche that Hashem will build a Mishkan within each of our hearts. Thank you for listening, and have a good Shabbos.